Hey guys, thanks for coming to our YouTube channel, Paradise in Paraguay, where this is our paradise. Also, make sure to follow us and like us on our Facebook fan page, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Paradise in Paraguay. And make sure to hit that subscribe button to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, hey you guys, welcome back to another episode of Paradise in Paraguay, where this is our paradise.
Yeah.
Oh man, so I know it's been a while, but we are back. We are happy, we are excited, and we got another baby on the way. In case you did not see my update, the video that I made before this one. But yeah, it's been a while. At that time, I think I was only a few months pregnant. But right now, I am 9 months pregnant, so I'm at the end,
Yeah.
sort of.
It can happen at any moment.
Sort of. I'm 37 weeks right now, you guys. And drum roll, it's a girl. Yay! So we're really excited about that. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update in regards to that. But today we are coming at you to give you guys some information that I know you guys have been waiting on forever. But you know, life happens. But anyways, we're back, and today we are going to finally tell you guys why we left the United States in the first place. Finally.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Okay, so in the general sense, we left because we wanted a less stressful, more traditional, more peaceful, and family-focused lifestyle.
Basically.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, in a nutshell.
As my wife had already mentioned, well, we are growing our family, and this is our second child. And essentially, this idea pretty much started with the birth of our first child, our son, who is playing over there.
Yeah, he's here. He's playing.
He's over there playing, so mommy and daddy can make the video. But anyway, so this was something that we really hadn't planned for a long time at all.
No.
We essentially came up with it. Well, I came up with the idea right after our son was born. I kind of got snapped into this different dimension, or just things became way more apparent of what's more important to me. And so after that point, I immediately told my wife, I really don't want us to raise our family and our children here anymore. Well, at least in the we were still in the United States, but I don't want to raise our family, our children here anymore. And so she wasn't really hearing it initially.
No, at first she was saying that basically we should move.
Yeah, we should move. We should leave the United States. And she was not listening, not hearing it at all. So it took a good couple of months for me to get through to her, for her to start looking into the different things I was pointing out to her, different links I would send her on the internet, and different videos and whatnot. Just kind of getting her to realize
that things in the States was just going south.
Yes.
On so many different levels. That's basically what he's trying to say.
Yeah, essentially, yes. And so
and that's why the whole idea came up, as far as us moving out of the country. That's why it came up. We were just being attentive to everything that was going on, social wise, cost of living wise, safety wise, just a lot of different things. We're going to get into more of that in a minute, but that's pretty much how it came up. We were just looking at, again, the downslope of the United States.
And so let's get into a little bit about our prior lifestyle that we had in the United States. It's not like we were down and out or felt like we had no way to attain what it was we wanted to in life.
But nothing like that. We were doing very good.
Yeah, we were doing very well. We both were very gainfully employed and making good money, solidly middle class, working class folks.
Several vehicles.
Yeah, several vehicles
nice
that we owned. At the time we were renting a nice house in a nice neighborhood, and in the process of actually we were looking to buy a house. We already had a good pre-approval.
We had good credit. We had a good amount of savings, especially for our age group.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And race. Unfortunately, a lot of people that are our race, have some issues. But for our age and race, we were we were considered to have been doing very, very well.
Yes, but the reality of the matter is that when we saw the fact that we were having children and how much care and time we wanted to put into raising them, there was going to be a conflict in regards to work-life balance. And one of the reasons being the cost of living in the United States. If you want to live in a relatively safe and secure place and raise a family, it's not exactly inexpensive for most working class people. So that was something that was kind of a conflict for us. Also, before we even had a child, we had been married for 3 years because we, after we got married, we decided we wanted to just focus on married life. Excuse me. We just wanted to focus on married life for a while without children, because we understood that marriage can be, it can take a lot of effort, because it's generally, in any good marriage, it's a series of compromises from both sides, and we wanted to focus on, right, it's a brand new transition. You go from living your own lives to merging your lives together. So we wanted to focus on our marriage, and so for the first 3 years of our marriage, we did that, and so we went on several, at least 2 trips a year, and generally those trips were international trips, and so we had been to a fair amount of places in the Caribbean and in Mexico, and also to Central America. And one common thread that we noticed in all those places were that generally the regular people didn't have as much money, income, or material things, but generally they just seemed a bit happier and a little less stressed and more carefree. And so that was also something that played a large influence in our decision to leave.
To move internationally,
because
not just within the U.S.
Because we realized that there are people that live way simpler, less material-filled lifestyles, but they seem to have everything that they really need and what's most important to them, what they want out of life.
And yet they make a lot less money.
Right, and live with a lot less stuff. So that was something. It's like, well, we have all these different things that in the U.S. we have opened our eyes to, which are not as ideal for raising a family. There's got to be another place somewhere on this planet that will mesh better with what our goals are for our family life. And we were able to find that through a lot of research.
Right. But again, before the research, just our experiences of our international travel, that alone is what really helped us to open our eyes to being open to possibly living in a tropical place like places we visited.
Absolutely.
I guess you could tell them of the places we visited.
Yeah, I mean, we've been to Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, various parts of Mexico, Nicaragua, and I think that's it so far. I mean, we've been,
as far as tropical places.
Yeah, tropical and Latin American and Caribbean places. We've also been to Canada, of course. Being from Michigan, if you haven't been to Canada, it's kind of odd because it's so close. And then we've been to plenty of states within the contiguous United States. So we're pretty well traveled, and we've seen a lot of different things, and have a broader perspective than most people, especially people our age. So,
but nothing compared to the lifestyle and the tranquility that we saw and felt when we were overseas. When we crossed the international border, that's when things really just.
I guess it broadened our horizons of a different type of lifestyle. Yeah.
The different people, the different cultures, different languages. It was beautiful.
And actually, back when we were taking
different.
these vacations, these different trips and whatnot, every once in a while we might think, oh wow, wouldn't it be nice to own a place here? And one day when we retire, because we were still in the mindset that we had to go through things the way that they typically are gone through in the United States. But those were like little seeds.
College, debt, get a job for somebody, work there 30, 40 years, and then you can retire when you're old, and then you can live your life. It was, that's not what we wanted, but
that was the mindset we had back then.
Yeah.
But
we're like, no, we're going to change all that up. Why? Because we can.
Yeah, absolutely. So
once you realize that, that's powerful.
Other things that in regards to that played a part in us leaving were included societal problems. It seems that nowadays there's this kind of anything goes attitude in regards to what's acceptable in our society, and I say sometimes it seems like society is going off the rails.
Like morals just aren't intact.
Yeah.
And we just knew there were other places besides the States where morals probably still are intact.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that was something we wanted. That was something we were looking for.
In addition to that, there's the economy and the system and society in general operates off of consumerism. There's this massive amount of consumerism that everyone's pretty much, not everyone, but a lot of people are caught up in, and that's how our society actually functions. If people stop being conspicuous consumers, the economy,
materialistic.
right, the economy essentially stops, or at least it ceases to grow. And with this being a growth-based country, and most westernized developed countries are growth-based countries, but they're developed, and that means they're already kind of where they want to be. Of course, there's always room to grow, but that growth is not something that can always stay constant, because when you have issues with the economy and people are a little bit tied up and can't spend more money on things that they really don't need, the economy slows down and then recessions happen, just like we had about a decade ago. Exactly.
Phones stop being bought and all that crazy stuff.
Right, and the cost of living is just
And it makes
continuing
the
to rise.
society unstable.
And wages are rising, but not nearly as fast as the cost of living.
That's
So
true.
it's putting a lot of pressure on folks like us, just normal working class people. So that's one thing. Violent crime is generally something you've always got to be concerned of when you live in any type of large city or metropolitan area, or even not, because there's all types of mass shootings that happen in all types of different settings. So, you know, it's whether you're talking about mass shootings at the workplace or at school, churches, or sporting events, or movie theaters, or just the general terrorist attacks, or the just general crime that comes along with the city with the gangs and drug problems and whatnot. Violent crime is something you got to be really concerned about in the United States, unless you live out.
It's such a high level of it. We're not saying that there's no violent crime in other places or even where we decided to go, but it's nowhere near on the level of frequency and what else, and grandeur as in the United States.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's other countries, but we didn't move
We
there.
didn't move to those. we did our due diligence.
Exactly.
Research for a reason.
Also, we are concerned about the broken, or at least the apparently broken, educational system. Those of you who are in tune about how the educational system has been devolving, it's been kind of more of teach kids how to pass the test, because there's so many standardized examinations and whatnot, and they're not really teaching children
Right.
how to solve problems or how to think critically.
Everything just about testing. So we weren't on board with that
So,
for our school system.
Yeah, and even before we decided to move out of the country, we were already thinking we wanted to homeschool our children. And that was part of the reason why there was such a conflict with how much time we'd be able to devote to our raising our family and working to pay all the bills.
Right.
Even though we were very, very good with our finances, it still was a concern to us. And we felt like we could make a move to make our lives way more free in regards to how we wouldn't have to pay so much of our income, or have to have so much income just to have the necessities of life.
Right.
And then also, it's not just the systems that are broken in regards to the type of education they offer, because I'm sure there's lots of other great schools and private schools and whatnot that
I'm not saying
offer.
there's no good schools. Of course there are some.
Right, they offer more of a traditional education or problem-solving based education, but a lot of private schools are expensive, and when you're a working-class family, it can be quite a bit. In addition to that, from my impression that I get from just observing children and talking to people who have children in different types of school systems, whether they're urban, suburban, or private, these kids are getting more and more ill-mannered. And generally,
Yes.
from my experience
Like
as a
no
child,
one's family orientated anymore either.
yeah, generally as I was a child, most of the stupid or dumb things that I did were influenced by my peers. So, you know,
Yeah.
that was another thing about, you know, the just who's going to be influencing my child when we take them, put them in any of these school systems, when in general, the, uh, the kids just seem to be getting a little bit worse and worse every year.
Yeah, behavior-wise and all that.
Right. We also, another thing we're concerned of, just basically the general disregarding of God that society tends to be doing right now. It seems like that's a trend. We're
Yeah.
born again Christians,
Yes,
and
we
we do
are.
take our faith seriously and try to live by the Bible as best that we can. And it just seems like it's getting more and more difficult to do that. Not for us, but generally when society has a certain trend, that's what can influence young minds.
Absolutely.
And we were really mostly concerned about our children. So we wanted to move to a place that just regarded God
Keep talking.
a bit more. And so we went to a place that does so. And that's one of the reasons we believe that it seems as if morals seem to be on a pretty severe decline right now.
So that was another turn off for us as we were just kind of looking and thinking about everything that was going on in the country that we were from.
And
Are from.
right, and then also because of a lot of the consumerism, materialism, and the high cost of living just to get the necessities, it seems that family and interpersonal communication within families seem to be
Oh, that's bad.
on a decline as well, and that
Bad.
is what we believe plays a major part in why the children are not as well mannered as they have been historically, at least from our impression. So, in addition to that, I don't think we need to go into much of this, but there are a lot of political problems going on in the United States right now. There's so much division politically, and I don't want to necessarily get too far into what side I'm on, or what side we're on, or what side you're on, because
Right,
honestly,
this whole political
the whole
correctness crap.
system just seems to be taking the route of divide and conquer, where it's
Exactly.
taking the people and dividing us up and trying to put us against each other, while the real issues that are important are pretty much ignored. So, it's
That was a big concern.
that was a
for
big
us.
concern also.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say we left because of the election of President Trump, because honestly, we had already moved to another country before he even won the primary, when most people
Right.
weren't even taking him seriously,
Yeah.
including
So,
us.
in case you were wondering, no, we did not move because of Trump
No.
in particular.
No, no.
He's a symptom, we feel, of a lot of the bad things that's going on, but he was not our main motivator.
No. As a
And
matter
all the different things that we just mentioned were our motivators.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when we witnessed the election of President Trump from our new home, we kind of took that as a confirmation that perhaps we made a very good choice to leave the United States.
Yes.
Because
And
then,
all, can I say something?
Yeah, sure,
all
sure.
the naysayers at the time, who were again naysaying the fact that that we shouldn't leave and all of that, their mind shifted obviously at that time. They were like, "Oh my gosh, y'all made a great decision. How did y'all know?" And I got out right just in time, and we were like, "Okay." We didn't leave because of him, but thanks. Thanks for the acknowledgement that you realize that what we did is not so crazy and all of this and the other. But I just want to throw that in.
oh yeah, absolutely. We also left because of the various economic problems that are apparent and seem to be built into our society and our system. As I mentioned, with the consumerism-based society, if people don't
Makes it less
continue to
stable.
consume things that they really don't need, when people are short on money or short on credit, which tends to happen on a cyclical basis, then the economy tends to fall apart. And so we feel it's an unsustainable economy, especially with our society is essentially debt-based.
Oh, yeah.
All these municipalities, all the states, the federal government, they don't seem to be able to operate without extreme deficits and debts.
And more and more and more of it.
Right,
Constantly.
we're not paying it down, it's going up and up and up. And if you're, a user of a credit card and you had any problems with that, then you know that as you build more and more debt, it gets harder and harder to pay off because you're paying more and more interest than principal. And that's essentially what's going on a very large scale with our nation, from the federal level all the way down to the local level. And it's also it's also happening on a corporate level as well. And those are at I think record highs right now. The amount of corporate
All-time
debt.
high, yes.
So there's a lot of debt, and generally when there's a lot of debt and not a lot of cash, it becomes very unsustainable. So that's another thing we're concerned about,
Yeah,
the
which is
extreme
what-
amounts of debt
Yeah.
that
Which
the
is what
country
caused
operates on.
2008 to happen.
Right, and so we believe that there will be another recession soon, and we wanted to get out of that cycle. Anybody that was of working age or had a retirement account or anything that had it through the last recession, you know what we're talking about in regards to how much of your accounts or how much of your property or what have you lost or went down, or how many people were foreclosed on. We decided we wanted to get into a more necessity-based society that is more resistant to when consumerism goes down.
Exactly.
So that was another reason we left. Also,
This place definitely fit the bar for that.
exactly. Hold on for a moment.